Hey, hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching my video. Okay, I'm going to be doing a video today mainly on the CB400 rider's review. As you may or may not know, my previous video, it was more like me just talking about the history of the CB400 Super 4, not really going in depth into how the bike is ridden, how it feels like to ride the bike from my perspective. So today's video is going to be more on that. I'm going to be telling you guys how it's like to ride the bike, how it feels like, its power, its handling, so on and so forth, yeah? Okay. So first of all, you guys need to know that this is a CB400 Spec 3. So this is a carbureted model. So everything I'm going to be saying from henceforth is going to be on the specific Spec 3 model. For Revo, I can't say much of it. I only rode it for a while, so not much opinion on that. But this review is going to be more on the Spec 3. Okay. So first things first, my handlebar, it's a wide handlebar. So the handling is going to be a bit more different. So take note of that when I'm explaining about how it handles. The stock one is a bit shorter. It's going to be much more narrower when you're riding it. Okay, so let's cover handling first. So the bike actually handles pretty well. It's not really a very high bike. The seat height is relatively low. It's not that bad of a seat height. So very approachable by most riders. I don't think they will have an issue getting their foot on the ground, flat footing the bike. So I don't see any issue with that. For handling wise, in terms of maneuvering, it's really good. Even with my wide handlebars, I have very good control of the bike. You know, it's very flickable. It's overall just a very good handling bike. I wouldn't say it's very cumbersome. It's really good to handle. Okay, so I had this bike in two different configurations. First being when I got the bike, it didn't have a top box, and subsequently I actually put on a top box, and that actually affected the handling significantly. So a top box is basically a storage box at the back of the bike, to put your stuff and all that. It's very convenient. That's the reason why a lot of people do it. But the downside is that it's a very heavy part of the motorcycle, all the way at the back of the bike, and sometimes it's a bit high up as well, and that really affects the handling. So maybe later I can show you if in certain speeds, once I remove my hands off the handlebar, it actually starts to wobble, right? It goes into a tank slapper state. So this actually occurred right after I got the top box installed. Before that, the bike was working perfectly fine, and there was no wobbling. And once I put the top box on, the bike started to wobble like crazy. So now it's a bit dangerous. There's a lot of cars in front. Maybe later on I can show you guys. The handlebar starts to wobble. So I believe it is the top box. I'm pretty sure it's because of the vibration of the top box. It's unavoidable, right? The top box vibrating, because if you move here and there, of course the thing is going to vibrate, right? And when that vibrates at the back at that level, then you actually have the weight of the the vibration actually coming down to the front. So that's what happens, right? So you can see, alright, you can see that my handlebar is actually going left, right, if you can see it there. And if I really let it go, it will actually go into a tank slapper and I might get into trouble. Okay. Yeah, so that's about my bike's handling. I'm pretty sure the stock handlebar, it handles the same as well. It shouldn't be much of a difference. But just take note, if you put it in the top box, be prepared for some handling differences. Just be prepared for this type of the bars going left and right. But it's not a major issue. Once you realize that the bars are shaking, just hold on to the handlebars and you'll be fine. Okay, this guy's coming in. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be taking it a bit slow over here. If I'm going fast, I have to concentrate and I can't really speak. My mind, I'll be divided between riding, concentrating on the road and then talking to you guys. So I think I'll stay on this lane, second lane, go a bit more slower so I can talk to you guys more. Okay, so the next one, as for performance wise, the CB400 is actually pretty good. It has plenty of power at the top range. So the thing about most 4-cylinder bikes, almost all, right, is that they make their power at the top end, which means that high up in the rev range, that's when you get the punch. So the low end wise, the bike is not going to give you much of power, torque. Yeah, not going to give you much of torque for you to push through. So I just accidentally found someone. Yeah, so it's not going to give you much more power to push through. But at the top end, it actually comes alive. The engine comes alive, and you can actually go forward. You can actually have a lot more power on your disposal for you to have fun. Yeah. And then the Super 4 also has this thing called VTEC. So it's a variable valve. Sorry, it's not variable valve, but it's an extra valve that opens up at certain RPMs. I believe for this model it's 6,500 RPM. The valve actually opens up, and then you have a lot more valves per cylinder. So by default it has about 2 valves per cylinder, so total 4 cylinders you have 8 valves open up. And once VTEC is on, you actually have 2 more valves per cylinder. So total of 16 valves are going to be opening up to let in air fuel mixture to power the bike. So as you can imagine, the valve clearance is a nightmare for this bike. It's a lot of valves to clear, and I mean a lot of valves to adjust, a lot of shims to adjust, and it's pretty expensive sometimes. Most shops they charge quite a hefty amount of bike for a 2A, a hefty amount of money for a 2A bike for valve clearance, which I did about a year back. Yeah. Okay, so overall the performance is adequate for Singapore's roads. You can easily go 90, 100. Top speed, I believe if you are on a track or so not in Singapore, you can actually probably clear the meter, right? You can hit about 180, 190. I don't think there's much of a problem with this bike. So there's that as for performance. And you also need to take note that this is a 4-cylinder bike. So 4-cylinder bikes usually the maintenance is going to be a bit higher. For engine oil changes, you're going to be paying a lot more for the more amount of engine oil that actually uses. But the intervals for this bike, I usually change about 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers. But I've heard people go much more than that, 6, 7, and still it's okay. It's not much of a big. It's not going to damage your bike that badly, but I like to change a bit earlier. I like to keep the engine healthy. I don't want to have any issues of my bike breaking down or shit happening like basically to the bike. So that's what I do. I usually change my engine oil before 5,000. You can follow or you can choose to risk it as well. Okay, and another thing about 4-cylinder bikes is that they actually fail much lesser, as less frequent than other configuration of engine configurations, right? So yes, 4 cylinders, it means that per RPM, means per rotation of the engine, 4 cylinders are working together to produce, you know, that kind of power, right? That single rotation, 4 cylinders are working together to produce the power. As for single cylinder, 2-cylinder and 3-cylinder engines, the same things applies. The number of cylinders are actually rotating to make a single rotation. I mean, the number of cylinders are producing power to make a single rotation. Yeah. So that's why you see that like your DRZs, which is a 400cc single cylinder engine, actually requires you to overhaul it very often, because you're actually when you're riding it hard, you're actually overstressing the engine, overstressing that single cylinder that's doing all the work, that's producing all the power for you, right? So that's why that bikes actually require you to overhaul much more frequent than single cylinder bikes actually require you to overhaul them, remove the engine or change the pistons, clean up the pistons more often than other configurations. So for Super 4, for this CB400 Super 4, you can be rest assured that the chances, the odds of you, doing anything major to the engine is very low, because the engine is not being overstressed in the riding conditions that we do in Singapore here. So it's pretty under stress, so it's fine. You know, unless you're telling me that you're going to be hitting 14,000 RPM, which is the red line, 14,000 RPM at every gear, then that is overstressing the engine. But by the time you reach that kind of speeds, you are already breaking the law. So yeah, you very rarely you'll be able to do these kind of things, so it shouldn't be a problem. The bike won't give you much of a problem. Yeah, I would say that. So it's a really reliable bike. We'll be taking this road. Okay, both roads actually lead to Lornie Road, so you can actually take this road as well. You don't have to squeeze there and go. So for those who know, they know. Don't know, now you know. You just have to watch out for cars that are coming in here. So there's nobody. Safe to go. Alright. Maybe later I can give you guys a bit of the VTEC energy. Yeah? Let me drop some gear. Let me use this stretch of road. Okay, slow down a bit. There's no car behind me. Okay, let me go down. So this is the VTEC. It's amazing. The pool is amazing. Oh man, you see? I think you saw me flying. You also fly. Oh man, bikers are funny. I think I don't know if every other biker is like me, but when I see someone else going fast, it kind of also brings out the devil in me, I would say. And I also want to go fast as well. So yeah, that's an Africa Twin, by the way. Pretty good bike. 2-cylinder, 260-degree crank engine, double cylinders. I believe it's 1000cc. There's a lot of different models. The Adventure Sport is higher. It's a great bike. It's a good sounding bike as well. Very comfortable, very high, but it's a bit heavy. So I got a friend of mine. He rides a Africa Twin. I actually tried. I didn't ride it because I don't have a Class 2 license, right? But I tried to move it around. It was very heavy. So just take note of that. Those who are interested in getting the Africa Twin. Yeah. So overall wise, I would actually recommend the CB400. So it's a good. I think it's the best. I would say that it's the best 2A bike you can get. it will really improve your skills in terms of handling a much heavier bike. So it will allow you to maneuver a heavy bike back and forth, and then it will be easier for you to ride a class 2 bike after that, because you're so used to this weight. But as for power wise, you only can feel it when you open the VTEC. The VTEC is open. That's when you feel the power, and that's how you learn how to control this bike at that higher rev range. The lower rev range, you don't really have much power, no torque. So when you go into class 2 bikes from the Super 4, you can actually see the torque difference. So class 2 bikes are going to be much more torqueier. It's going to be very fast off the line. So you have to take note of that. It's going to be a bit more different in that sense. Hey, we catch up again, bro. Right, is Africa too. So you can look at how torquey the class 2 bike is. It's a bit of the twist of the throttle and it's off. Yeah, guys. So if you need confirmation or overall understanding of the Super 4, please you can go back to my previous video as well. I've talked about the history of the Super 4 and a bit of numbers. I've like the horsepower and all that. It's discussed over there. This is just going to be how the bike handles, how the speed is, and a bit of maintenance tips as well. But overall, the bike, the maintenance, yeah, it's a bit more pricier than other 2A bikes, but you are paying for the VTEC, that amazing 4-cylinder sound. Yeah, so yeah, it's a price to pay. Yeah, but do note that there are so many Super 4s available for sale on Carousel or wherever. So just take your time. Some people really sell it very expensive. They put a lot of stuff on it. But it's really up to you. Do you find value in those extra added parts or not? And are you willing to pay that kind of extra money? But average, I would say, in my opinion, I actually take into account 3,000 per year for the depreciation of the bike. So 12 months, 3,000. So do the math. If you see a bike that has 2 years of COE left, 48 months, it shouldn't be more than 6,000. But usually it will be more than 6,000. So you can nego until 6,000, or you can pay a bit extra depending on what the previous owner has really done to the bike. So has he changed to aftermarket levers? Has he had an exhaust repack, or he put in aftermarket exhaust? So all these actually factor in when you're actually getting the bike. Do you really want those extra things? Some bikers actually change to Brembo calipers, and all that, and they really mark up the bike like crazy. So those who find value in it will get the bike. But a stock Super 4 is still good. If possible, if you can change, please change the exhaust. Spec 3 stock models don't really sound good. But then again, I can count my fingers how many Spec 3 models with stock exhaust I've seen over the years. So yeah, most often than not, if you're buying second-hand Super 4s, they already have aftermarket exhaust installed, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so maybe on my next video I can go through with you guys more on how to buy a second-hand bike. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing. That would be a good video for those guys and girls, who just passed their 2B or even a class 2A bike license. I can give them some tips on how to get a bike. Yeah, so just look out for my next video. I will do I'll do a video on how to get a second-hand bike, what to look out for, and it'll be good for you guys. You can actually understand it and apply it, and good luck getting a new motorcycle. Yeah. Okay. So I'll end this video here. So thanks everyone for watching the video. Turn off for my next videos, and have a good day ahead. Take care.